Welcome to episode 86 of In Touch with iOS, a podcast that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies, plus tips, apps, and gear. I am your host, Dave Ginsburg, and my co-host, Warren Sklar. How you doing? What's going on?
I am good. Glad to be here and talk to you about your fun trip to Nashville. And
but pre-show we were chatting a little bit about me having spent some time in Nashville. It was a lot of fun, and
it's a great place to go.
It is a great place. I want to go back, and it was just, you can't get enough.
Let me know.
We're going to meet out there, and we're going to just tear up and down and walk up and down Broadway and go to every bar and check every band out. Even if I don't drink, which I don't.
I don't drink either, but I found a candy store, and that was a good place. And,
did you go to Goo Goo's?
Did you get that screaming?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a wife. I'll have to tell her to be a little quieter.
Oh, that's okay. We went to. I walked in there. I walked right out. Christie's Cookies was the other one. We went to that there.
Yeah, and then there was a candy store on Broadway, which was lots of fun.
So, but we're not here to talk about my trip. We are here to talk about iOS and all the fun stuff that goes along with it. Some good news coming up that we can talk about here this week, and got a couple discussions we're gonna hit on this week, including the Files app. We had an interesting discussion, as well as I put this as a topic because Microsoft released a version of Microsoft Office for iOS, which is for the iPhone, which is going to be a integrated all-in-one flavor version that includes Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. We'll talk about that. And then we got tons of tips we're going to go through this week, because I know everybody's loving the tips. And if you are not sending us email letting us know what you want to hear, please do at feedback@intouchwithios.com. And please tell me or tell us what you want to hear, or what you want us to talk about, or even give us some feedback. That's why the email is feedback, right? Let's hit the news here. And the first article, which was hot off the press, is T-Mobile and Sprint confirm updated merger agreement. Well, we knew this was going to be happening. It was just a matter of when. As of this recording today, they have confirmed that they have updated their merger agreement, because they had to adjust the dollars since this was 2 years in the making. So each of the shareholders will get their money. I'm not going to go into any details with that, other than the fact I'm kind of happy this is going to happen. I think it's going to make T-Mobile even stronger. It's going to make Sprint customers happy, because it's they got great customer service, and they say that this merger could close as soon as April 1st of 2020. Of course, they had that lawsuit that got rejected with the state seeking to block the deal. But the only thing they have to get over now is the California Public Utilities Commission, and it's undergoing a Tunney Act review for any potential antitrust concerns. What's your thought on this?
Yeah, and it should tie in well with our next story. Speaking of customer service, do you want me to do that?
Yeah, let's.
So, they kind of tie together. So basically, T-Mobile finishes first in J.D. Power's latest wireless purchase experience report. Basically, the story from, where is it from? Open link.
Link to TMO News. I found this app. This new, the unofficial T-Mobile blog.
And basically, the article says that for the first time they had won this award of the purchasing experience of it, which is great, and I could actually attest to, because I switched this year, and it was super easy, and their customer service is good. And actually, I was in T-Mobile store yesterday. I'm starting a full-time job, and one of my plans was to get so make this a quick story, but I have an iPhone 11 Max Pro, and
like me,
like Dave, and I wasn't going to I needed a separate phone line that they're going to reimburse me for, but I didn't want to carry around a second phone. Sure. So my plan was to go to Sprint and have them activate T-Mobile to activate a eSIM for my phone, so I only had one phone.
Yep.
Plan was going fine. We were going to do that, and they were going to happily do that. But one of the guys came over and said, instead of doing that for $10 a month, you could get their numbers thing
Right.
basically, which is you kind of add it to their. You need an app, but it works pretty well. And they had some issues with a couple of things, but they worked through it, and they were super nice. And so I got the plan for $10 a month, and it was they didn't have to say there was a cheaper plan, and I did. So there it is. I haven't had much issues at all with T-Mobile as far as the actual process of getting it and using it. No cell phone provider is going to be perfect with service. Then you have to know that going in, and it's good. And the Sprint merger, if anything, is just going to make it better, hopefully.
Yep, I agree, and I've been very happy with their customer service. I've had a great experience, and JD Power, hats off to you to find those results, because I agree 100% that how great they've been. John Legere made comments saying how he's super pleased with the CEO of T-Mobile, super pleased with it as well. I think that's called T-Mobile Digits, is it not? There's not
It
numbers.
is digits, yeah. So
Yeah. So I'm putting the link to as an app pick for you there in our notes. So
so basically with digits, it's kind of a weird app too, because you could add a whole other number to it. You could also manage phone numbers that are on your plan. So in theory, I could add my son's phone on my phone using the app, and I could kind of see who's calling him. It's got a little more power than just adding another phone number to it, which is kind of neat. But it's it's all optional, and basically it works. The phone rings as normal. The only thing is you have to open up the app to call out of it. You have to call from the app, but you can receive calls with the app not being open. So for my use with light phone use, it's perfect for second.
Awesome. Yeah, it saves you having to carry around two phones too.
Yeah, actually, they tried to at first. So you can get a free Android phone, and I looked
the
at
5G.
The Android phone. No,
I didn't think so.
I think the free ones were like
the crappy ones.
1G.
Yeah.
Well, they were like the Samsung, like
Android 9.
Yeah, it was like they had a Samsung, but it was like an E something.
Those not the S series.
Absolutely not. It was horrible looking. I said no, thank you.
So good news on all fronts with T-Mobile, and we highly recommend you checking out and switching, because it's definitely I'm a very happy T-Mobile customer leaving AT&T. All the discussions I've had about that in the past, so definitely good stuff. Let's move on. Of course, beta world again. We got new betas that just came out. Beta 2 of iOS, iPad OS, and TV OS, and I believe it's Watch 6.3, is it not? They released the second beta, and the public beta just got released today as we record this. Any changes? What's your thoughts? I know you already have it, so I don't even have to ask you.
Very few changes. The big change on iOS is they listened to me, Dave. I said I was flagging everything that I wanted to move or delete on my iOS mail app, and they said okay. So they actually got rid of the flag, and they changed it with they moved the reply over, I think, and then on the end they put a new message button. This is when you're in the mail message. So if you're reading mail, you could compose from there, which doesn't quite make that much sense either. But so they're playing around with our muscle memory on this, guys.
We talked about that previously.
Yeah. So I'm trying not to learn all this until they figure out where they're going to put all these buttons on the bottom of the phone. But other than that, it's pretty much. I don't think there was any other noticeable changes. I think everything was kind of the same. The only other thing notable in all these, the watch, I don't think was changed at all.
Yeah.
Mac OS, I know we don't talk too much about it, but Mac OS, the update just added lyrics to Apple
Right.
or music, whatever they call them now. So,
Which you're going to give a tip on that in a little bit.
So it basically does the same thing ish of what the live lyrics does on the iOS devices.
So again, as we say every time we talk about beta, do not install it unless you are a professional. Unless you are somebody who wants to live on the bleeding edge and expect to have lots of problems with your primary device. If you have secondary devices,
not what I do. Yeah, that's the same. Do what we say, not what we do. Is what
you do it on your bleeding edge. I do it on my spare devices. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, and with that also, as we mentioned, the public beta is out too if you decide to live on that bleeding edge. Apple also released updates to the watchOS. It was a small release. It was 6.1.3, which fixed something that was going on with the heart rate.
Switzerland. It was only in Switzerland.
Was it only Switzerland? Okay, so so it really wasn't an important update other than it just did it. But interestingly enough, just like we've mentioned before, they're still keeping iOS 12 up to date for the older devices. They're doing the same thing with watchOS with 5.3.5. And really the only reason they did this is to update it so it works with current versions of iPhones. So if it's running iOS 13 or later, the older devices that run watchOS 5 will work because they weren't working until they released this, right?
Right. Yeah. Yep. I know people were having. What was the issue? So people with older phones were having problems with the new watches to get them set up too at one point, but they kind of got through that too.
So not much I'll say about that other than make sure you do your updates. Next article. Next article, I'll let you dig into this because I can't believe it. So
I can't actually believe it either.
I knew this would be a perfect topic for us to talk about. So go for it.
I've been trolling the internet with this this one on Facebook, but basically the article is Microsoft is bringing its antivirus software to iOS and Android, which is Microsoft's Defender. And basically the article is from The Verge. We have a link from it, but if you don't see it there, it's everywhere else. Everybody's reporting on it. Because it's kind of weird. But basically they want to bring a Defender to iOS and Android. Couple of things I've heard is basically they're not doing it for like a mobile management thing, but just basically to keep people safe. And it's more to keep people from going to phishing sites and things like that. Yeah. But the way they word is basically to prevent, for antivirus on the iOS. And as far as I know, even with a jailbroken phone, I haven't really seen any real viruses per se on an iOS device. I've seen, maybe our listeners get this too, and we all do, but basically sometimes you'll open up Safari on iOS and it'll redirect you to a phishing site or something like that. And the perception is it's a virus, but generally it's not. It's basically just Safari just redirecting to the last site it went to. But it's it seems like there's really not going to be a need for it unless it does something else that we don't know what it's going to do. Android, maybe that's a good probably idea because I have seen actual malware on Android devices, whether they're viruses so malware and viruses, everybody kind of gets these things confused, but a virus essentially is a virus is something that self propagates through itself to some other device, and usually without user interaction or very minimal user interaction is what happens. And Macs and iOS are pretty good with that not happening.
Right.
Malware and adware are basically in iOS and on macOS are more or less but browser extensions that shouldn't be there, or a browser hack that could easily be fixed. So, I mean, we'll see how it goes. Defender on Windows is pretty solid,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It definitely doesn't solve everything that Microsoft Windows has the problem with, but
but the thing is, on Windows, it's built in, so it's
built in too.
then,
so
yeah,
like
it's
on
put-
iOS, it's not going to run in the background. It's not going to be built in.
No.
It's going to be something that
And-
open up and run.
honestly, I'm baffled. Why would you need antivirus on an iOS device? I just don't understand it.
Yeah, no, well,
But
we'll see.
Microsoft's
We'll see how it goes.
getting things out there.
Yeah.
So take a look at that article in the show notes. It's on The Verge. So that was very interesting. This next article, The Verge, has been popular today. Apple considers allowing apps like Chrome and Gmail to be set as iOS defaults. While the HomePod will also embrace Spotify, which we'll talk about the HomePod in a minute. But Apple's actually considering letting users set third-party apps as their default web browsers. I mean, I'm never thought ever that Apple would do this. They always said iOS, it's Safari, or it's Safari in the background, and that's it. But they're getting a lot of scrutiny from the EU and preparing for antitrust, and so yeah. So what do you think?
I mean, I think it's a good thing. I've never really I don't think it ever bothered me that it always opened up.
It didn't bother me. Yeah. It's just,
yeah, I mean, when I'm on my iPhone or iPad, for the most part, as long as what I'm trying to get to opens something that I want to see, I'm pretty happy with that. The one thing that was weird was map links, and I don't know. Is there a setting? Maybe I'll know, because I thought I was opening up a map link and it was opening up in Google Maps for me, and I didn't want that, and I didn't know how to.
You can change it to the maps. They did allow that, where you can make Google Maps the default. Yeah.
Okay, there must be a setting in there somewhere, but so I guess Maps is something like that, but certainly I have Safari opening up on my phone, but I use Microsoft Edge on my laptop, and it never really bothered me. But if it opens up Edge, I'll see if that works for me.
Yeah, and then I guess we have duplicate articles here, but this was on the Apple Insider too. HomePod, they're going to allow. It looks like they're going to allow Spotify to be the default player if you so choose. Which again,
the player, I don't even think you can use Spotify on the HomePod right now.
Yeah, you can do it. It's a cockamamie way you have to do it. You have to do it through AirPlay and all this stuff. So you could do it. It just isn't integrated.
Not from the HomePod itself.
Yeah, but I mean, I think this is smart by Apple because the HomePod, like we talked about last week, there's the sixth most popular smart speaker out there, and I think they got some work to do. And opening up to others is, I think, a smart move on their part. And Apple's seems like they're starting to loosen the reins a little more of the control, realizing they need to get out there. Like we talked about Apple TV too, with all the smart TVs. They got to let it loose, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of a little backwards from the other things where the TV was, they need to sell their services, which is Apple TV Plus, so they're putting Apple TV on the TVs. This is, just try to sell the hardware and not worry about the services, the Apple Music service as much. Whether you still need to have Apple Music, is anybody going to buy it if they said you don't have to have Apple Music and you can use Spotify instead on the HomePod? Would somebody buy a HomePod to use for Spotify, not spend the whatever they're spending, or if they're paying Spotify, would they do that? I don't know. Would Apple care? Would Apple want to sell you a HomePod to not use Apple Music on and just to use a third-party Spotify or Pandora or something like that? I don't know either, but we'll see. They want to sell. They want to sell things. So.
Yep. So that's the news for this week, and why don't you go ahead and start us off with the this topic for this week? One of the topics is the Files app, and we I have a link out to Jason Snell's article on Macworld about the files. Yep.
So this is an article from Macworld from Jason Snell, and he kind of goes on talking about the goods and the bads about the Files app of iOS and how it mainly compares to a Mac, the Mac experience with Files. And without kind of going through everything, he some of the things he points out is iOS 13 is a step in the right direction. It gives you access to some the places that you want to go to, but it's still sort of messy, and file types aren't as black and white as they are on the Mac. So he was complaining about sometimes he would open up a certain audio file and he wants it to open up in a certain audio program, but he can't get it to do that. Whereas on the Mac, you could do that.
Because you can open with.
Open with and keep it that way, but he can't. So he has a whole thing about the defaults, trying to get it to default. And then he also kind of talks about ways to get the files onto the device. He likes using AirDrop to do that. But the gist of it is basically they're getting closer, but they're certainly not there yet.
And Jason's a bit of the extreme. I mean, he's believe me, I think he's great. I enjoy everything he's done, what he talks about in the Apple world. So don't get me wrong here, but he could be a little bit to the extreme of what he wants to do with these files, in my opinion, as I read this, and because not everybody's going to be doing what he does. But it is good to know that if the file's open, I mean, it's the same thing when I open a PDF. When I AirDrop PDF to, like, say, my iPad, there's a long, huge list because I have so many PDF apps on my iPad that'll open it, including PDF Expert and others. So he's right in that sense. There are a lot of apps to open it, but then you want to be able to set it as default, and it just wants to always give you the option to choose what app you want to use to open it. So. But what about in beta now? I don't know if you had any chance yet of testing the new sharing of files.
No, nobody. I don't have anybody to share files with.
I think we have to do that and get back to everybody since I have some.
We'll have to do it. I think we'll have to try. Maybe we'll put our notes on there.
Yeah, because I have it on my test iPad and test iPhone. So
right. But as far as what Jason's saying, I mean, the thing that I'll say about it is the files system in the iOS. It's the way it is for me is fine. It's I don't have a problem with it until once in a while you have to do something that you can't do, and that's when it becomes an issue. Like, so it's 98% of the time you don't really even need to go in the Files app. You don't need to manipulate things like that. Right. But it's a 2% where somebody sends you a file and you have to, I think I told you the story last week, but somebody emailed me a PDF. I didn't have my MacBook with me, and I needed to sign or add something to it. So, manipulating that file was a little bit challenging. So you save it somewhere and then figure out where to open it, and then, how to put it back in the email. And it wasn't as easy as it would have been on a Mac, but, it was doable, which is good, but it should be.
In that case.
Yeah. I mean, like it should be like on a computer. I have the file. There should be a place that says save, and you save it, and then you should be able to switch to the file manager, double click on it, open it, and then save it again. And I think that's, again, is where you kind of have some extra steps in there, and then send it back out. Yeah. So it's not the best place to manipulate files like Jason's doing, or open up files in different type of programs, especially the one he's talking about is his audio recording software. So.
Right. And I agree with him about AirDrop. AirDrop is an awesome system. It for the most part works great. Yeah, so it's so nice to not think about, I got this file on my iPhone. I want to send it to my Mac or my iPad. I can do it instantaneously, or share it with somebody else instantaneously. One note I was going to say.
Go ahead.
No. One note I was going to say about PDFs is apps like PDF Expert do give you the option on an iOS device to be able to sign on them. And I'm going to talk about Office here in a minute that you can as well. And so they do have apps that you can't sign them, but so it shouldn't be as challenging depending on the app that you have on your phone or your iPad to do it.
Yeah, no, I had an app that did it, but it was just a process of getting it from email, opening it, signing it, saving it, and then sending it back, replying to the email more or less with it. So yeah, no, it's and as I said, it's possible. It's all possible to do. It's just, you know, certainly there'd be people who could easily figure out how to do this on a Mac or a Windows computer that
Right.
would have a harder time doing it on an iOS device. Um, that would maybe need to research a little bit before they were able to do it. But what I was going to say is, with AirDrop is, you and I both have an iPad Pro with the USB port,
Right.
USB-C, and I've never felt the urge to have to plug in a USB, file to get files off of it.
Oh yeah, external drive.
Between AirDrop and iCloud Drive and even Google Drive or whatever, it's easy to get things on and off that way. So that's my advice: is if you want to play around with files, don't put them in the cloud somewhere. This way you have access to them everywhere.
Yeah. So, anything else about Files app before we move on?
Nope.
All right, let's talk a little bit about, or a lot of bit of what Microsoft did today. They released, this was in beta for a while. They released a version of Office, Microsoft Office for iOS that is unified for all the apps, which would be Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. It just exited beta as we record this yesterday. Actually, it was released. And they launched this in beta for a while because they wanted to have a unified design that include all three apps, which is cool because now you can go to one place to be able to do it. Because, do you want to be fumbling around going through three different apps on your iPhone? And I know, granted, there might not be too many people that are going to be looking at Office documents on the iPhone, but they may. I mean, with us, you and I both having the Macs, I mean, you got a lot of real estate you can work on a spreadsheet or something in a pinch. But it makes it a lot simpler now by combining them all. They also included sticky notes. And they also have a new action pane that also lets you create PDFs, sign PDFs, scan QR codes, and open files and links in Office, and then easily transfer files between your phone and your computer or share instantly by nearby mobile devices. So they've kind of had a little mini AirDrop inside of the app. Now, granted, if you are working in the enterprise, you're probably going to have some restrictions, but it'll lock it down to only like many enterprises use OneDrive, and you can have within your network be able to have access to all your files and everything through OneDrive. So, but they also work with iCloud and Google Drive and Dropbox and Box, so it supports all the big ones as far as that goes. They included other things like the word dictation, Excel cards view, and the outlines of PowerPoint, which come in handy for those who do a lot of presentations and wanting to be able to have the outline on your phone. I've done that all the time when I presented. When I use Keynote for Apple, that I want to be able to see my outline and my notes on the phone as opposed to having to look it up on the screen or have a cheater screen for that matter. So I know you hadn't had a chance to play with this yet, but what are your thoughts?
I played with it a little bit. I downloaded it. My main thought right now is now that I'm looking at it, I wish I had it when I needed to sign my PDF, because sure enough, one of the actions is sign a PDF. So,
yep.
Yeah, it's. I need to play with it more. I'm kind of looking at it now, and it's got a couple neat things in here. You can make new documents. Lens, and see this lens thing. You could actually.
Oh yeah, Microsoft Lens has been out for a while.
Yeah, what is
they
it?
Incorporated it.
Take a picture or something, and I don't know what it does with it. What is it?
I can't remember what it does off the top of my head, but
right.
It was a very good.
There's
system.
Something here. There's something here that says image to text. Like it's, I guess it's an OCR right here.
Right.
Basically. So it looks pretty powerful.
You know,
Yeah, it
and
looks nice.
and you still can download the standalone versions of Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, so you could still have them on your iPhone if you want. Now, one thing this is not an iPad version. This is only an iPhone version, so it will not. I mean, you could download it on your iPad, but it's going to be the iPhone infrastructure. So you still have to stick with the standalone apps on your iPad for now. I don't know if
For now,
they'll.
I'm sure they'll.
I'm
Come
sure
out
they're going to
with
probably look at doing some integrations with it down the road for the iPad. It would only
Yep.
make sense. Now, who knows? I mean, it could be something they do, on Macs and on Windows machines too. You never know. I mean,
Well,
they're becoming more and more
Windows
innovative with Office. So
Windows sort of has the unified app too, which kind of does the same thing. It's just not exactly as doesn't seem to be doing all the same things, but it certainly
right,
does have it. There's one Windows app called Office now, and you
right.
click on that, and it's an app. It's a Windows Store app. So I think they're kind of going after that too. So yeah, it's good. I mean, a lot of people poo-poo Office and say, "Oh, you don't need it," or "I'm not paying Microsoft," or just use
Yeah,
Notes and or just use Apple Pages and things like that. But they are trying to make it a global app, and it certainly makes them money, and a lot of people use it. So
yeah.
they're doing something right.
So let's dive into some tips here. If you want to take the first one here, we're talking about the lyrics, how you can see your full song lyrics on your iPad or iPhone.
Yeah.
You could talk about a little bit on how you do it.
So this is a link that's posted for on iOS OS X Daily.
Yep.
So lyrics is something that they introduced with iOS 13, and basically what it does is, as the song is playing, it will kind of give you like a karaoke type of version of the lyrics. Not all songs have it.
Right.
Some do, some don't. But basically, what you do is if you open up your Apple Music app on the iPad or iPhone, uh, and as a song's playing, you click on the playback, the triple dot icon located
Right.
on the next to the title of the song, and then towards the bottom there on the share sheet, there's one that says, "Sorry about that." Both somebody's happy about this. Both your full lyrics, and then at that point you could it will follow along the lyrics with you, or you could actually scroll up and down to kind of see them as you wish.
Yeah.
And that's basically it.
Yeah.
Um,
This there's two types, as you mentioned. There's two types of lyrics. There's just the standalone lyrics, so you can just go in and read through them, and that's what this article is talking about. And then, as you mentioned, there's the karaoke, it's live lyrics that they call it, that will scroll through and as the song is playing, which is really cool. Who needs the karaoke machine? We can just put this up on a TV screen and let the lyrics flow. But
it's
again,
fun.
not every
You know,
song has this, so
yeah, and just as an FYI, um, it's coming to the Mac in the
right.
Music app. They're doing the same thing. Um, so yeah, it's a minor feature, but it's fun. It's certainly when you're listening to a song, and I play keyboard, I play piano, so a lot of times I'll try to play along with the music, and it's my sister lyrics kind of.
Yeah.
So for a musician, it's kind of neat. And, yeah, there you go.
So, and then the next tip, I don't know if it's actually a tip more so than being just to be awareness of an accessibility feature. This is how to use the guided access on an iPhone and iPad. And what is a guided access? Basically, it's a built-in accessibility feature that allows you to limit a device to one specific app, preventing you from switching to another program. So, in this case, you might think about it as maybe somebody in a business that might have an iPad that's a kiosk and they don't want anybody to be going outside of the app because it's accessing specific, like you're signing in or something. So you could set it, which is really cool because you can. That's what a lot of businesses have done is they buy up iPads and they have interactive iPads that are locked down to just the menus. I mean, I've seen restaurants that have the menus for like their wine list. This was a good example.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen that, where they just set the iPad to only go to their wine list and it can't be navigated out to anything else.
The airport, the Newark airport, just a quick side note by us. One of the larger airports in the area. They must have almost thousands of, close to 1,000 iPads in the area, and that's how you order your food and you play games on them. But it's amazing. I should take a picture one day. It's just like iPads everywhere at the tables, and they're all locked down. Basically, you can't do much with them.
Another application for this one may be for a child. Maybe you want to lock it down to just one app that they access on an iPhone, or just for security reasons, and keep them safe too. So you can do that as well. So those are some of the reasons why you don't want to have guided access set up. The way you do it is here. I'm going to go through the tip here. Is you go into the settings app on either the iPad or the iPhone. Then you launch. You tap General, and then you tap on Accessibility. Then you tap on Guided Access, which is under the Learning section. And then allows you to be able to tap in the passcode settings, create a passcode that's just for this guided access, because the only way you can be able to get out is if you have an older device, you triple tap the home button, or you tap the power button on newer devices, and it'll let you back in, and then you just get that set on there. You can set Face ID or Touch ID on here, but it's not recommended to do that when you're doing this, only because that's what it's supposed to be done. It's supposed to lock it down and do that that way. So check it out. That was the link on iMore that we found, and wanted to bring that up and talk about it. So next tip, if you wanted to hit on that one, is the first one. If you have quick access to that, Warren, is how to set a sleep timer on the iPhone.
Yes, let me open that up. So we have sleep timer on an iPhone. So if you want to, according to the article, if you want to drift off to music, so basically if you want the music to stop after a certain point, you're going to launch the clock app. You're going to tap the timer and use the picker to see how long you want the music to play. And then say tap when timer ends is basically where you're going to tap. Scroll to the bottom and select stop playing. And then you tap set the set at the top right and start. And then you go to the Apple Music and pick a playlist. Obviously, if you pick just one song, it's not going to do much because it will be over. So you want to pick something that's going to at least last to the end of the time.
I mean, there are other apps, like I use radio.com. I used to use that to go to sleep, and they have a built-in timer you can set. So does Downcast, the podcast app. Then a lot of podcast apps have built-in timers where you can set it as well. But this is cool that it's actually built into iOS, where you can, like especially for Apple Music, if you want to just listen to that, so it turns off. Yeah.
I have some good sleep headphones that I got.
Me too.
I use, and basically, instead of setting a timer, generally, I'll just kind of roll over and yank them off my head. That's sort of the best way to stop the music. So.
Couple of messaging tips here. How do you check when a message has been sent to receive? And what you do is you actually open up the message and you tap the message you want to check, and then drag it to your left. And what you see is you actually see the time right on the right-hand side. So that tells you, because everybody always wonders, what time was this message sent? And if it shows, it'll show what time it actually was sent to you. So again, how you do that is on the message, you open that message, tap the message that you want to check, and you drag to the left. And on that right-hand side, it'll show you what time is opened. The other one I was going to mention too is how to check if someone has actually read your text. If you've got if they've got the read receipts turned on, you'll also be able to you'll be able to do this. Some people tend to choose to turn this off, so just be aware of that. So as long as both of you have this enabled on your devices, you'll be notified each time you read each other's messages. Now, the way you turn that on is you have to open up into settings and then go into messages. Then you toggle the button there. It says send read receipts to on. It's green, so then it'll be set to tell you that you've read the message. Do you have that turned on?
I do. I think I do.
Yeah. So the other tip, why don't you talk about how to use a trackpad on your iPhone?
I love the picture of Tim Cook and Johnny Ive just looking up at a phone like in amazement. So this is I'm trying to think if this is still valid for the newer version of iOS because they changed it a little bit, didn't they?
No, you can still hold down the virtual keyboard and it grays out.
Can you? Okay. Mm-hmm. I know they changed it with the force touch or something like that. But so if you want to if you want to move to a certain point of text on an iOS device, specifically an iPhone, and don't want to like backtrack and all that, you could push and hold the virtual keyboard until it grays out. And that's pretty much anywhere on the letters if you just push and hold down. And basically the letters will turn into a grayed out little area, which kind of emulates a trackpad. You just move your finger to where you want to go and then let go. And in theory, you should be at or hopefully even close to where you want to be on the keys in the text. And then you can edit from there. That's how you do that.
Pretty straightforward. Here's an interesting one: how to share photos without location data. You know, when the images that you take, they usually share what's called the EXIF data, EXIF. That's a location data that's embedded inside of them. But there's a lot of reasons, maybe crime, privacy, or even more stuff that you deal with. You may not want this to happen. Here's how to strip the information from the images as you share them. When you select the image that you want to share, you tap the share icon in photo. We're in photos here. And then at the top of the share pane, just under the photos title, there's an options button there you tap. Now you can choose how to send the images and also can choose not to include the location data. And then you can toggle that item to off. So you have the option to turn that off. And then when you send the photo, then it won't have any location of where that photo was taken. You find that could come in handy sometimes, don't you think?
Yeah, I haven't thought of a reason yet, but
not me either. I haven't turned it off. I don't care. There's nothing. Yeah, no, I have nothing that I'm hiding from. Hiding it from them. So
I guess if I'm sending a picture to my wife from my girlfriend's house, I might want to.
That's right.
That's probably not gonna. That's probably
not a good idea. You might not want to be doing that.
No, not at all. And there's a bunch of other tips here. I like the how to prevent robocalls because
go ahead and talk about that one.
Well, I like it just because it's probably not the best. Yeah, I mean it's like a what's the theory? Using a thimble to empty a boat of water or something like that. It's going to do a little portion of it, but that's it. So basically, what they're saying is you could silence unknown callers. So if you go to settings in iPhone and then you could scroll down to open settings in an iPhone. I don't even know if that's right. There's no iPhone setting. Hold on. There's a phone setting, but I think that's what he meant to say, right? Yeah. It's under phone. So he wrote open settings in an iPhone, but that's incorrect. It's settings, phone. And then you scroll down to say, it says silence unknown callers. And basically, if you do that, calls from unknown numbers, and I'm reading this from the iPhone, calls from unknown numbers will be silenced, sent to voicemail, and will be displayed in the recent list. Incoming calls will continue to ring from people in your contacts, recent and outgoing calls, and Siri suggestions. So essentially, the phone will do its best to ring if it thinks you know the person, whether they're in your contacts, whether they called you in the past or you called them in the past, or if the Siri suggestions is basically as Siri kind of scans through emails and texts and things like that, and if it matches kind of a phone number with maybe somebody you know, it will suggest. And
Yeah.
sometimes you'll open up something that says Siri found an email with its contact and its phone number. Is this right? And you could say yes or no. So yeah, it's gonna try, but with these kind of things, keep in mind that there always is a possibility that you'll miss a legitimate call. So use that with caution. There's other apps out there too. Each we talked about this before, but each cell phone provider now kind of gives away an app to try to
Yeah.
do this too. Varying various success rates. I haven't spoken to anybody who has completely figured out the solution to stop them completely spamming robocalls, but there's some things you can try. I know. Actually, I know some people who refuse to answer any phone calls at all, and let
Yeah,
everything go
there's
to
plenty of
voicemail.
them out there.
Yeah, so that would be probably the only solution, but that's your mileage may vary on that one.
Here's a tip on how to make Siri announce your phone calls. This would probably drive me crazy. I don't know if I would do this.
I turned this off right away.
Yeah. Siri will speak the name of the person that's calling you before you pick up. Okay, I can just pick up the phone and look at it. But hey, there might be some visually impaired that might want to be able to hear it, which is fine. And we are always welcome for that. So a way to enable this is you go into settings, you go under phone, and then you select announce calls. And you can have this kick in all the time or only when you're on headphones, or you also can set it when you're using CarPlay. So that might come in handy at the time. Yeah, maybe your headphones and you don't want to pick up the phone while you're listening to something. It tells you who it is, and then you don't have to pick up the phone. Right. You might be jogging, so you can set just for that. CarPlay for sure comes in handy, but it does visually show who's calling on the screen. So
yeah, and of course Apple Watch wearers will get the alert on their wrist.
Right, if you have your watch, right, so you're going to get vibration or sound.
You'll see it. You can look down and see who's calling on the watch as well.
So one Siri thing you could do. Another thing I never thought of before is how to be able to take a panoramic shot in a different direction, another direction. When you take panel images, the default setting demands you to go from left to right. What's that?
Yes. I saw that. I'm like, what are you even saying? Like, I didn't even know that could be an option.
This was kind of an interesting tip. I didn't think you could do it either. So the standard pano image, you have to you start left and you work your way right and go slow and go steady. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can actually tap the arrow that appears in the middle of the screen, then reverse the directions from right to left. Okay. So I guess you could go. Maybe you feel awkward going from left to right. You want to go right to left.
I have no idea. Yeah.
Okay. The other thing they ask is, what about like a tall building? You look up. You want to get a full view of the tall building. You can once you go into panel mode, you can just twist your iPhone to landscape view, and you'll still be able to take an up and down panoramic image of the building. So.
Right. I think in theory, what happens is when you're in panel mode, the auto rotation doesn't rotate. It sticks to where it is. So basically, now you're side by side at this point.
Right.
So, cool.
And this one I know comes in handy for a lot of people, and I've used this a lot. Is how to paste a number into iPhone's iPhone app. You got a phone number, you want to call it, but iPhone doesn't recognize it as a phone number. So what you do is you select the number on your iPhone and you copy it, and then open the phone app, and then you tap the big space above the dial pad. And then the paste command will appear, and then you just tap this to paste the number into the dial screen. Then call it, and then and you'll also be able to tap the blue add number item and be able to add that to your contacts book. So that one for sure comes in handy
all the time. Like at least daily.
At least. You're one that doesn't make a lot of phone calls though.
I definitely try to avoid making phone calls, but when I do, that's what I do. I'll hold down the number, copy it from somewhere. Of course, you got to, if it's a clickable number that you're copying it for, it should open up the phone app and dial it. But sometimes it's not. Sometimes they're on the website or something like that. So yeah, copy and paste right in.
Yeah. So that's some of the tips we had for this week. Did you have anything else that was catching your eye this week with your iPhone that you've been experiencing?
No, not really. Everything seems to be. I'm just thinking, but no, everything's covered. So nothing comes to mind.
Yeah, there really hasn't been a lot of exciting apps out this week, so we really haven't had much to say about that as well. So, we'll definitely see where things go this week. One program note: next week we have our guest coming. Shelley Brisbane is the author of iOS accessibility book, and we're going to talk about accessibility, which is always a good topic to find out about and hear her ideas of accessibility. And it's a really good book too. So stay tuned for that. I'll be appearing on the Daily Tech News show with Tom Merritt and Cheryl Lane and Roger Chang on tomorrow after we record this. So give that a listen. You'll hear me on there as well. And of course, you always hear both of us on Mac to the Future Go live cast on Facebook, which Warren, you missed yesterday, which was okay. You had more important things to do. The Boys and Girls Clubs of America, right?
Yep, I did listen to the show though, and
crazy as always. We love it, but we love
it. It was
God.
crazy, yeah. All technical issues and fun, and
I can't hear my volume. I shouldn't make fun of him.
No. He said there was volume issues, but it sounded all right today.
And then he figured it out later.
Yeah, it sounded all good. So there you go. But I should be on next week, and I should be on next week with.
We have fun. We have a lot of fun doing that. So definitely check that out as well. So let's just go ahead and wrap things up here, and see what we can do for next time here. So that is a wrap for this week. So please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address at feedback@intouchwithios.com. Please send your letters. We want to hear from you. I want to get some feedback about the show, or just send us some. Just send them some things you'd like to talk about or hear about, and you have in your challenges. We'll see if we can answer your questions. But please send it. That's what it's there for feedback. Feedback@intouchwithios.com. So you also can follow us on Twitter at intouchwithios. Send us some stuff there if you'd like. You can also subscribe to us in your favorite podcatcher, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio. But better yet, just go to our website at intouchwithios.com. All the links to all the ways to listen to us are there. I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me at DaveG65 on Twitter. And Warren, where can they find you?
I hang out on the Facebook in the Mac to the Future group on Facebook, where we talk about Apple mostly, but we talk about tech in general. WSKLAR is me on Twitter and maybe Twitch and KitKat and those other, pretty much every service I would have used is me on WSKLAR. And then, of course, you can find me on the Mac to the Future Go live cast on Wednesday with Dave G, who we're talking to, and Kaiser, and on the show as well.
And then one thing I'll mention before we close is Macstock is going to be coming up in July, and I hope we're going to get you to come, Warren. It's July 25th and 26th of this year. This will be the 6th year. It's a great show, and the website hasn't been updated as of yet, but it's macstockconferenceandexpo.com, and you'll definitely be hearing more about that once Mike Potter updates the website for this year, and there's still in discussions who's going to be speaking and all that. So there's a lot to go. That's a long ways away yet, at least another 5 months. So, but I just wanted to mention that as well. So with that,
do my best to be there.
Yes, we hope you are. But if you're not, that's okay. We understand. But you know, Guy's going to give you some crap about it.
I am expecting it.
But you gotta be there. Come on. Anyway, let's go ahead and wrap it up. Thanks again for listening, and we appreciate it. And we'll talk to you again soon.